Okay, hello. I'm just checking the sound. Hope I'm live now because my assistant told I wasn't live before. Um, can you hear me now? Can you see me now? Okay, now you have a picture and a sound. Okay, great. Okay, so we are going to start now. Okay, perfect. So we are starting my pictures for today. So today we have, first of all, we have Women's International Day. So happy Women's International Day for everyone who celebrate. And we have very springy subject for today. This is Anemones Meadow. And I have these great pictures from amazing place with a lot of flowers. And actually I took them a few weeks ago because spring in Israel is starting in February and not in the March or April. This is a really amazing place. I just want to show you some pictures from. For example, we have something like that with really a lot of flowers. Actually, this is not easy subject to paint in watercolor. If we take general view of this mass of flowers on a green background with trees and so on. So usually we will pick up some more close-up flowers to show them a bit more, and there are a lot of options how to deal with this subject, but of course we have to pick one for today's trip. And I have this sketch as an initial point to start with. I want to take more close-up flowers and to show them more, to use them as a focal point actually, and all other areas as a more background of trees and so on, and more areas on perhaps on foreground from the right side to make them more as a loose approach, with more blurred and not so defined, with their soft edges and more loose approach of watercolor. Before we start, actually, I forgot to mention, because of the security in the country right now, it's possible we will have a siren because of Iran attack, or another one from Lebanon. So if this will happen, I will just pause, make a pause, and I will back. Evgenia just said me something disappear. I don't see this from my end. Picture or sound, what do you mean? Okay, this is weird, but I have a good signal now. And from my end, I see what stream is going on. So if we will have some troubles with so I will it will be available as a recording, of course, later on. Okay, so Evgenia, and I get the problem, but I don't see something I can do about this at this moment. And by the way, my internet is showing I have a good signal now. It's not about my internet at this point, at least. Okay, so I just will go on. If stream is will be if picture will disappear more, and the sound as well, I have a recording on the computer and I will upload it later on. Because now if we will switch to Zoom or other platform, it will take too much time and I don't want to waste time on it. So sorry about all technical issues if we have some, because again, from my end, I see that everything is fine. Okay, so I will go on. Yes, and as I said, I want to use some more close-up flowers like here, like on these examples, in that area of the painting. By the way, I use okay, Evgenia, I understand this, but if I have nothing to do about this at this point, I can stop the stream and make it again, but I'm not sure it will help. So I prefer to go on and to record it at least. Because now we are 12 minutes from this beginning and still can't start because of all this. Somehow. Stream status I see from YouTube is excellent, so perhaps okay, again, I'm going on with the stream now. So again, I'm starting once again. I will use some flowers as a close-up in this area, and all other areas I will try to make more loose, more flowing with the watercolor qualities and so on, and to make the most contrast as a focal point demands the main contrast of values in watercolor to be in this specific place. And yes, and sorry about this, I'm just checking all the time how the signal is. Yes, and we will make the main contrast of values of lightest lights meeting the darkest darks in the focal point area. And I don't want to make it directly straight in the middle, of course. I want to make it more lefter. By the way, I forgot to mention, I use Bauhong cold press paper, 100% cotton, of course, because I want to use the wash. better, and cellulose paper will not suit this technique I'm going to show you today. So we will start with some mapping out some main flowers with a pencil. I don't do this, but now because this lesson is for you, let's make it together, because it could be difficult to paint without the sketching with the pencil on watercolor paper. For someone it could be really challenging, so let's make the initial drawing first. So I have this group of flowers and I want to use some of them as I said in this place, like you see on these small thumbnail sketches I have here. Yes, just I want to place it back. And let's go on. So I'm starting with one flower here. And I'm taking this one at this point. Oh, I'm just following the shape of the flower I see. Now let's take another big flower, and perhaps it will be let's make this one. Their center part, some petals, another one more forward, and some smaller ones on the left. It doesn't have to be a really precise drawing, just the main shape. Let's make another one. I have a lot of pictures here. Let's take this picture with a lot of flowers and take some another angles perhaps of the side view more. So like something like this. And another one, more smaller one here. And let's make perhaps from this picture, yes, let's make one to more to the left, angled to the left, and it will be hidden a bit by this large one. The central part, some leaves in front, some leaves on the left. Again, not too much precise drawing, just to place them in order to use this shape after with the watercolor. And let's make some of them smaller ones, more in a distance. I'm talking about this part. And just looking at the reference and taking each time different shape of the flower. Perhaps some of them will be hidden with a wash, so I just make more than probably I will use after all. And we have these flowers that already have petals dropped with the central part only, so we can use them as a kind of ellipses, rounded shapes as well, just to show them kind of this. And let's think about the composition. So if this will be our focal point area, here we still have to use some objects, I mean flowers in our case, but much less, or more abstract, as abstract shapes. So I will not make too much drawing here, and I will use watercolor already. So the main idea here is to make, again, I want to repeat this, to make the focal point with the main contrast of tonal values in this space, and go more loose and abstract to all other spaces of the painting, and this will make the focal point, the main point of this painting, but we have to support this focal point with some other elements on other places of the painting, and for this we will use more detailed, more little details, so fine work, but in and of course the same contrast we use here, but in smaller sizes, just to make this repetition of rhythms, leading the viewer to this point and getting out after. So this is intention, but watercolor is sometimes has a strong personality, and we will have to follow the watercolor qualities. And if something is going not as planned, don't worry about. Something not planned is a plan, because we use watercolor. So we are happy with everything we get on the paper, and just trying to use these specific places to create our composition, and to still to be able to make beautiful painting. So I'm going back to this picture with their initial flowers. About the colors, I'm pretty, I really want to use, as you saw on the pictures, we have mostly here white and purple and violet flowers. We have really few red ones still. But I want to make the main color of the flowers more as lavender, violet, pinky violet, and this palette more, to use greenish yellowish colors to show the greenery, and more cold colors in the background, like again, blues and violets, but more darker, to show the distance, to show the air perspective, because usually if we want to show something in a distance, we use more cold shades of the colors. And I still want to show that there are a lot of flowers on the background as well. So we will use the same colors on this place, on this area as well, to show, to visualize the amount of flowers in this place. This is the plan, so let's start. Let's begin with. And here I want to use approach when we don't start actually with the wash from top to bottom. We start with main flowers and main objects, and then we come back to make the background. This will allow us to leave some hard edges and more white as clear paper on highlights. And this actually what I want, this is my intention to use for creating the main contrast of values. So let's go. For this flower, I will use, I have a violet. I have this kind of violet quartz by Rosa. Just one kind of violet, and I have some pink on the palette, so I can mix it. Also, I will use some light blue to make the mix, and I will start from these petals on dry at this point. I'm softening the edges with the water and just load a bit different colors anytime, every time on the brush, and adding them to the wash in this, on this petal. Then the next one. And again, more blue. Pink, I use opera pink, by the way. And a list of my colors you have in materials of our flow room. So this light blue, you have its name as well. I just can't pronounce this color right, but this color contained a white pigment inside. This is what's important about this. So I dilute it with water really well. Next one is this petal, and I also want to add some warm colors inside. And I use for this my quinacridone sienna, because the balance of warm cold shades provide for us the look of something alive and natural. Next we have these petals, and they're darker, so I will use the same colors but a bit more concentrated and intensive. Now I use a bit of ultramarine as well. And add these colors to the flower to make it more dimensional. Now we have some in center part. Again, I want to use a bit of warm colors, the orange, and directly let's make the center darker part. For this, I will use ultramarine blue and sepia, dark brown, and very extremely concentrated now, not diluted with water. And on the wet surface, I get soft edges and soft dots of this center part. And also I want to use some pink inside as well. And warm quinacridone sienna. So it's not black, it's a lot of dark colors, but it will make the illusion again of something more live. And also we can add some more dark shadow in the shadow part of the leaves. And more ultramarine blue. Now I can use a flat synthetic brush to lift some color and to show the edges of petals, the looking to the light direction, to show the light on them. And this will also create more illusion of the dimensions and volume. The same, I can just use this flat brush on edge with water to make the lines and veins on the petals in some places. And this will be our main flower here. Let's move to another one. I will make it more like the same violet, but more pinky one with more pink inside. So now I have already a mix of colors on the palette, and I'm starting to use this. And I get, I'm taking the shape of this flower. So I'm just following my reference and use it. And again, every time I just load a bit different colors, the same colors I use here, but in different proportions to make this flower. Let's get more, load more pink. And don't forget to use warm colors as well. Again, I use Quine Crayon Sienna, but actually you can use other orange or yellow probably. Why not? Also an option. And here we have some shadow parts of these foreground leaves more closer to us, and some highlights on the edges of these petals. So I use the same colors, violet and ultramarine blue. Perhaps even to use more this blue now, this light blue, to make it look a bit different. And again, some lines and the inner part. Ultramarine, sepia, Quine Crayon Sienna, and even more pink in some places. And I'm leaving intentionally some white gaps between. And I'm softening some light on these petals. Softening the edges, I mean. And more shadow on the on the left, sorry, with more pink. Now, later on, we will able to come back to these two flowers and to make on the dry surface more details of inner parts, or to add more hard-edged shadows. So while it's a bit wet, you can use some winds in a darker tones to show them, not only as lighter ones, but more mid-tones to show them as well. But not too many, not to make the same lines for all the space of the leaf, the petal, sorry. And we move on with next ones. Now I want to go more loose, to start to go more loose. We're still in our focal point, but I want to make a transition between more hard-edged and more precise work to more loose areas. So I will start to wet some of them. For example, here I can start wet the paper this way. And let's open other picture with more different flowers. So one could be more white. This one, for example. So I will use just very light blue, very light purple, very light pink color. Actually, the same colors I used, but very diluted with the water. And now to use more green, because it's like flower, turn to the side and we see the bottom part. And green colors, I use olive green. And again, these are same colors, light blue, purple, and the orange, but very, very diluted with water. Here, this one, we can make it more pink, or yes, let's make it more pink. And because I'm going to move again to more loose direction, now I just make a general wash on it. I will use again some warm colors inside. Now more cold ones in some places. And after on, we will show the shadow on this flower, but not now. Now, the center part, the same sepia, ultramarine blue, and queen sienna. And now let's start connect them. And going to the bottom part with more loose approach, as I said. And for connection, we will use much more dark colors and concentrated ones to show actually our main contrast. So first, let me load some darker colors on the brush. I think this is kind of dark and neutral green. This color has granulation effect inside. This is this one, Carbon Yellow by Rosa, but it looks like greenish black, I would say, or yes, something more green and warm. And also we will use the violet, initial violet we started with. So I'm just preparing these colors on the palette a bit. and starting to wet this again. So I'm getting with the wetting the paper a bit to the flowers. And let's start with this connection. So the greenish color, and the violet one. Here we have another flower. And again, more green color. Here we have another flower, as I said. But remember, we want to make it more loose toward this part. So this is okay to get in with soft edges of the background a bit to this flower to make it more loose and more soft. So now I'm just wetting all this area. And because my paper is really, really wet, I use a lot of pigment inside the brush and less water. On a brush, actually no water on the brush, the pure pigment. And kind of making outline the flower we want still to show somehow. And now we can add some more warm colors. In my case, this is quinacridone cyan again. To make this greenery and background more live, more natural looking with all different warm and cold shades in it. Now we have another flower. Let's make it more, again, purple. But now totally loose approach with the soft edges on a wet surface. Here, let's make another one. Just a suggestion about the existence of another flower. Here we have this one. So let's add, now I use a bit of lavender, more opaque color with a white pigment. Add some light blue. But everything is quite abstract, yes. This point, I see that some areas here we can lift a bit color and to make more defined edges. But these edges, I love them, so I am going to keep them. And actually, if you have some color what spread it out, you can lift color on these wet areas as well. Now the inner part, again my darkest darks. But because of wet surface, we use a lot of pigment and no water. Can show the inner part even in a side angle of the flower. Now I use a bit of yellow, azure nickel yellow, to show the green parts of the flower. And actually my paper is already dry, so I will wet it once again. And let's move down. I continue with my warm orange here on this left corner of the painting to make the wash, and then I will add lavender and pinks to suggest more abstract flowers in this area. And on this we will add the green. And the same I'm going to, actually I can wet it this way to the right part. Let's make it more green. So olive green, the mix of greens I already have. More yellow. And just a quick wash. And soft transition to white at this point. Now on this wet surface, let's add more darker tones, darker values. Here we have these flowers without petals. So for this on wet surface, we can use again synthetic flat brush or just a flat brush with natural hair as well, because it holds less water and more pigment, and on wet surface we want to use more pigment and no water. So the same green, dark green, yellow carbon. And this is kind of negative painting. So by painting a background, I'm showing the flowers. And if a surface is already dry, I can soften some edges, because again, on this part, we want to keep our painting to be more loose and more abstract. So more abstract shapes, more soft transitions. To the same area, I will add some violet because I have added this in these parts. So if I use some color on one part of the painting, I'm going to use it on other as well to unite all parts of the painting actually together. And let's make this flower more visible by using the inverse negative painting as well. So I will just define the right edge of this flower by using more dark green. And some of Queen Sienna. And let's again soften it and make a transition. Okay, also we can actually to make some sprinkles to show suggestion about textures and other small flowers and all the grass we have there. I'm sorry. Also, we can lift some color to show some herbs and leaves in some places. Just kind of abstract ones, a suggestion about and not really painting of fine details or something like that. And we are moving to the right side. Here I use more green, so I will continue with olive green and my dark green as well. Let's make this more visible. Another one. Queen Sienna in a more little amounts on this side as well, because again we use the same colors to unite all parts of the painting, to show some leaves by lifting. Here we have a dry surface and nice texture, so I will keep it because it's look really nice in this place. My dark green. Too much water in the brush. It was now, but okay. Now I will soften the edge on this petal now. Perhaps let's lift a bit color to show the stem. and here as well. And we will leave this place to dry out and move to the top now. Yes, just a little bit addition of small spots of Queen Sienna here, and also a bit of violet. In some places, and I think even lavender, because it's opaque color and could provide some coverage and create the contrast of opaque and transparent colors. This is quite well. So let's move to the top part. Now, why I left it not to completely the end, but almost to the end. It's because I want to keep some hard edges in some places and to use a clear paper. So I will use paintbrush, but smaller one, to wet the surface around that places. I will start from here, and now I'm making kind of outline a bit above the real flower petal. In some places I can move even into the flower, into petal. And I start from really small area. Now our color will be more cold and blue, so I use cobalt blue. Let's add to this a bit of violet we used, and let's try this color now. Yes, and in some places, as you see, I get closer to petal. In some places, I leave some gap between. Of course, we can use masking fluid to reverse this, to reserve, sorry, our these places. But it demands a bit more time to wait until this masking fluid is dry and so on. So here we get some more light and more contrast on specific places of meeting of the background to these main flowers. And this will create a beautiful contrast for us. So I'm just wetting next part of the top area, and I want to add to connect these parts. Now it's blue, it's more warm, so let's add to this blue the same colors we used, but really a little bit. So I will add this green, especially closer to this part. Also, I will add some orange. This is too much fresh orange, so too much in the brush. perhaps olive green as well. And this will suggest the continue of this meadow. So again, our blue, cobalt, bit of violet. And I leave this white clear paper to suggest the small flowers as well. What is important, what we are not using dry brush work, is still in a wash, so I have a quite good amount of color in my brush, and I have the drop of water at the end of each movement of the brush. And again, in some places I can get closer to petal. In some place I just leave the gap between. And in the connection place, let's add some colors from the bottom part as well. Green colors, olive green, my darker green, darker tonal values, and the meeting of lightest lights will provide for us the main contrast of values. And some orange. And again, darker green. And darker violet. The inner parts of these flowers, perhaps to show some on this one as well, and perhaps in this one. Darker value closer to our light on the petal. And now, I'm sorry to I'm sorry, I'm a little bit sick still. Let's make some softening of some edges of these smaller flowers on the background, more in a distance from the viewer. Some of them we will leave with hard edges, and I use water on the flat brush with a bit of pigment from palette. I have some pinky something there, and I use this to soften edges of these flowers in some places. Even smaller brush, a bit of lavender, and more pink again. So this way we get hard edges and soft edges, and this create more depth in the painting. Now let's connect all this stuff together and make perhaps more hard-edged details and connections of small leaves on our main part. And in some places perhaps we will add more shadow on these flowers because they are still in the highest contrast, and we told we want all our main contrast to be here. So now it's too much light here, so perhaps we will use some shadow, or our hard-edged little details will help us to bring all this stuff together. Let's see. So I use small diameter brushes, one with a long point, one just a classic one, not the Asian style still, but round with a normal length of the brush part. And let's use our dark green. Just to make some stems in some places. Ultramarine and sepia to show this dark shape of the inner parts of the flowers without petals. Some leaves. Sepia and ultramarine on the dry surface to show the inner part of these flowers, but now with no soft edges but hard ones. some grass, and other type of leaves are going from the bottom part, and we can use the texture on dry surface, and this is now dry brush work, but in some places we can soften it, and this will create more depth and dimensions in the painting. So some here, for example. I still use just my dark colors of the green, ultramarine blue, sepia. And I'm trying not to use too much water, yes, because I want this texture. So we have this one, and we can show it more with the blue even this way. And now I will use the long point brush, my dark green, sepia, ultramarine. Some different angles of the grass and herbs, and they can come over our flowers, of course. And again, if in some places this is too much contrast and too much attention to this place, we just can soften. And I think here it could be also to show some leaves of anemones. And more kind of grass looking lines. And if it's too much, again, I can soften it. If some lights was too, if some lights you lost some highlights and want to add some lighter stems, you can still lift color with a flat brush, because we use the really high concentration of the pigment, and it's really easy to lift color kind of this way, and this will make these light lines with soft edges, and as well it will add a bit more to the depth in the painting you create. So perhaps more shadow here. And more shadow here. And some suggestion of the shadow on this one. And I think we can finish with that. I haven't used red flowers here. I just wanted to keep it with a more light pinky violets and this color palette. But of course, it is option to add some highlight popping out orange or red colors as well. Sorry if you love this combination. I hope you love the process, and you're welcome to share your works in our Facebook group or Telegram chat, of course. I will happy to see it. Let me know about perhaps the next subjects for next streams. It will help me to make more better schedule for you to match your questions and subjects you want to paint. Thank you for joining, and if this stream wasn't was disappearing all the time, as Evgenia told me, you will have it in a recording on the platform, of course. So thank you for joining again. If you have questions, I'm still here. If not, I will say you goodbye and see you in the next streams. Okay, I don't see any questions, so see you next time in a week.